Let me ask you a question, Chris. Would you be surprised if I told you that the Navy has credited you with over 160 kills?
Thank you all very much for being here. And first of all, I just want to say how awesome it is to have Taya Kyle here. If you have not read American Sniper or seen the movie, Taya Kyle is an extraordinary lady who I've had the good fortune to get to know over the last year, and I'm very happy that you're here. Bradley, why did you? I mean, you were involved in this from the beginning. What was it about it that drew you to it? Because it's so much more than a war film. It's a different kind of film.
It's this man. It's her husband. It's this guy Chris Kyle, and who he was, what he went through, and it's just an amazing character study.
Clint, what was it about this script when you saw it that you said you wanted to do it?
It just had more to it than just an action flick. I'm at this stage in life, I've done the action flicks, but I don't want to necessarily just repeat myself, and this was kind of unique.
Yeah, Chris actually said when he said if he had his druthers that Clint Eastwood would direct the story of his life, and then so that gift he got. It's just such a personal thing. It's such a huge, massive responsibility and honor that we have been able to have to tell this man's story.
I mean, Taya, it's such a personal film, and in the writing too. I mean, there's so many. You are opening your heart and letting people in on the troubles that you and Chris face and the difficulties you guys face, not just the good times. Why were you willing to do that?
I don't always cry, but I'm telling you, hearing Bradley say it's a little bit hard, or Jason, they've all been so close to me and close to my heart and shown such love and compassion for all of this. The result of that is that they all got the details and the nuances and the subtleties of that love that you have for somebody, that you would do anything for them. The beauty in Chris when I met him, and the kind, pure, giving, just goodness in him. I feel in my heart of hearts that it was that I wanted him around, but it wasn't just for me. You know, I feel like I wanted him around for him. Maybe sitting here right now with everybody all at once is what's getting me so emotional, because it's an incredibly difficult task, I would think, to do this well and to do it right. And I would have said probably impossible. But sitting here now, I realize why it's so possible is that literally every single person sitting here has brought their heart to it, and they've done so much more than they ever had to do. Jason didn't have to sit on the phone with me for hundreds of hours, you know, and counsel me and talk to me as a friend and get the story. He didn't have to do that to have a good movie. You know, Bradley surely didn't have to do all he did, physically transforming like he did, and doing a dialect, and especially one like Chris's, let me tell you, like, crazy. And yet he spent all the hours doing that. He didn't have to do that for this movie to be accepted by audiences, I don't think. Training with the SEALs and hitting face plates at 600 yards. And then, Clint Eastwood, come on. Like, just even to have him present is, first of all, amazing. So from the first time that I met Sienna just online, or, we Skyped, I think, the first time, it was just, I felt an instant connection.
Let me ask you, I mean, to portray somebody who...
You got it, basically. Yeah, she got it.
To portray somebody who is... you're there with, and who's alive, who's you're meeting with. I mean, that's a huge, huge responsibility. How do you even go about figuring that out?
It's a huge undertaking, and it's nerve-wracking to know that the person that you're playing will eventually be able to watch and critique what you've done, and it's such sensitive subject matter that to ask those questions that you need to ask in order to be forensic about what you're doing, which is research, you have to go there. But Taya, as you can tell, is just one of the most open, personable, amazing, amazing women. And said, I think one of the first things you said was, I'm here for you. Anything you need to know, whatever it is, just ask. And she was an open book, and it was invaluable for both Bradley and I, and Clint and Jason, and yeah.
And Bradley, I mean, the transformation that you go through for the film, could you describe that a little bit? Because, I mean, you really are unrecognizable as yourself.
you know, I just knew that even to get to a place where I could even begin to believe that I was Chris, I had to, you know, he was such an imposing man. He's such a charismatic man that had so many different qualities because he was so gentle. But you could only really see how gentle he was if you were confronted with the massive physical presence. And without that, you wouldn't really see how gentle he was. So I knew that I had to get huge in order for you to see the inside of him. Otherwise, it just wasn't going to work. So it was there, I left myself no room for error. I was either going to show up on the first day of shooting and have to apologize to Clint that I didn't do it, or show up as Chris. And luckily, I showed up as Chris. And you know, he wasn't there, but she was there the whole time. And you know, she really did open her lives to us. I mean, there's no way I would. Yes, I got big and strong and all that, but the only way I was able to you have to get that hook always that makes you believe you're the person. And it was just, she shared who he was, this part of him. And that's what I was able to hook it into. The movie wouldn't be what it is, and I'm very proud of the movie. I think we did do him right, but it's all because of her.
And Jason, where were you when you heard what happened to Chris, and how did that change everything?
It was tragic, but you know, I went down to the funeral, and Taya opened up at the funeral and said, you know, I gave her my phone number, and she called 7 days later, and she said, if you're going to do this, you need to do it right, because this will play a part probably in how my kids are going to remember their father. And you know, it was a huge responsibility, not just for me, but for all of us, and that's what Bradley's talking about. It's you know, we had to bring something to this because it was personal.
What do you hope people come away with this learning, remembering, feeling?
There's something very special about this family, this story, and the horror of this man being ripped away from his family at 38 years old. But it's a lot of people's story, and on a massive level. And that's the thing, that we happen to find a man who is just very charismatic, had such a thing about him, and a family that's just so, that you want to learn about. So we tell this man's story, but he does serve a purpose, hopefully, that someone who's going to watch this movie, who maybe has gone through what he's gone through, or has gone through what Tay has gone through, can sit there and say, oh, wow, I'm not alone. That's why I watched movies when I was a kid. It made me feel like I wasn't so alone. It was healing. And that's what this movie can do, hopefully. And then for the people that can't relate to it, maybe it makes them stop for the first time ever and think, oh, wow, that person who's passing me by in the airport who has a uniform on, maybe I'm going to take a second look, and maybe I'm going to start a conversation with them, because maybe they feel alone right now. If that movie can do that, then we've succeeded. And I think Chris would be proud of that.